Okay, we're almost out of the woods here. Seattle finished their preseason up against the Oakland Raiders last night. I watched most of the game. Near the end, I got kind of bored and went off to play actually Final Fantasy XII, which I just got into, and I gotta say it's a fantastic journey. But enough about that. I actually ordered a pizza from Pizza Hut last night, and it never got here. I guess the guy got lost, so I ended up having like cereal for breakfast for dinner, and that kind of blew. But whatever. As for the game, we won 19 to 14. Kind of a slow-paced game, not a lot of offense. Pretty happy with how things went. 3-1 to finish the preseason. That's not bad. Practically no starters on the team actually got to play. So Wallace came out and played reasonably well, I suppose, given the Raiders' defense is as good as it is. I'd like to see better, but he's looking. He has his moments. Weaver had finally broke out in the preseason with 16 carries for 74 yards. Lost a stupid fumble, but all in all, I have to say this should be able to keep him on the roster. Marquis Weeks continues to have a solid preseason. Maybe he'll make the roster as kind of a utility guy back there. Um, Burleson stepping up big time. 3 receptions, 52 yards, and a touchdown. Nice run after the catch on one of those plays. Also had a nice punt return, so he's vying for playing time with DJ Hackett. I still think Hackett should start, but Burleson has outplayed him this preseason, I do believe. Joe Newton finally got on the field and made a catch. I hope that's enough to keep him on the roster. The only starter I think on the offense who played was Dion Branch, and he did a little bit. C.J. Wallace tore things up. He's going to make the roster. Had another game-settling interception. Baratka Atkins was getting pretty good pressure, as was Brandon Mabane. Those are two rookies on the defensive line who are really looking like something special. Really happy to have them around. I'm not sure who the cuts are going to be, but I'm guessing Jeremy Steffens, whatever his name is, the tight end. Too many penalties. He cannot have that, so I think he's gone. Beyond that, it's somewhat difficult to say. Let's see, we had this one safety that was probably the play of the maybe one of the bigger plays of the game for us, just because it's nice to see penetration into the backfield. I believe the safety was handed out by Kudavides. Mm, and I'm not sure who else is gonna make the cut or not, but the one guy who stands out to me from last night was Steffens. Too many penalties, drive killer. Um, Pretty happy with the all-around performance, although that one punt return was kind of a downer. I think we still need to improve our kick coverage all around. For the Raiders, Culpepper continues to establish himself as the likely starter in Oaktown. I see no logic in starting Josh McCown at this point. Either start Culpepper if you want to try and win now, or Walter if you want to try and prep him for later potentially. I think it should be Culpepper at this point, but not necessarily because I have faith with him. I think he's their best chance. Running game had their moments. Dominic Rhodes playing his last game until week 5 of the season. Um, Looking sharp. Big Mike Williams got on the field and got some decent action in, 51 yards, 3 catches. I really do think he's going to take advantage of this second chance in the league. Their defense was stingy, swarming around the ball, picking off a couple passes, forcing fumbles. No sacks, but they got pressure and held up against the run quite well. And no Warren Sapp, so there you go. That's about all I got to say about this. Marcus Tubbs went down, which really pisses me off. That was the worst part of the game. I really do hope he's going to be okay because we do need him on the field. I don't want to accelerate putting Brandon Mabane on the field too much as our run-stuffing defensive tackle. I don't think he's ready for it. Other than that, I think we're pretty injury-free. Babineau and Womack have a chance to be back by next week. I don't even know if they would play, even if they are back. So, bring on the Buccaneers. Around the league, you saw the Chargers and 49ers. I'm just going to go over some things real quick. How about Eric Weddle, huh? Looking like he might be worth all them picks they traded. A couple, 2 interceptions in the game yesterday. The Chargers dominated this preseason without their best players, so you've got to be pretty happy with how things are looking. Almost all the starters sat for San Diego. Craig Davis got his first touchdown of the season, and they're really going to need more of that from him. The pass rush of San Diego looked pretty good. San Francisco can't be happy with how things looked, although they were without their best player, so let's hold up on that. Let's see. Poor play by the quarterbacks highlighted the game for the 49ers, something that they're definitely going to fix, although most of it was Sean Hill, the backup. It is what it is. Denver and Arizona, no starters once again for the Broncos. There were some starters for the Cardinals, however, so it's very hard to take much of anything from this game. But the run defense of Denver continues to struggle, and I need to see a spark of life from these guys, because they have the pass defense that can really just... they have an excellent pass defense, but it won't mean much if they can't stop the run. What else was there? Let's see, you have the Browns and the Chicago Bears. Brady Quinn continues to impress me. He had 1 interception. I think it was batted at the line, or it was caught by a defensive lineman, so that tells you a little bit. The game was decided ultimately basically on a punt return touchdown. Jerome Harrison gets in on the action with 8 carries for 31 yards and a TD. I'm a fan of Jerome Harrison. I've seen him play in college. I think he can play in this league, so I really do hope he gets his chance this year behind Jamal Lewis. I still think Brady Quinn should be the starter here, but I guess the Browns organization doesn't agree with me, so we might be seeing some Derek Anderson or Charlie Fry. Chris Lee got to play for Chicago, so that was kind of interesting to watch, as he played fairly well. Hopefully he makes the roster. I still like the kid. Moving on. Greg Olsen got hurt. I hear it's not serious, but we'll see how that works. Sloppy game by Pittsburgh and Carolina. Lots of turnovers by the Panthers, namely. It was a pretty poor game all around. Lots of kicking in this game. Dwayne Jarrett finally made a big play for what it's worth. Big 47-yard reception. Couple of nice plays by the Pittsburgh defense. Looks like that secondary is really coming together. I really like where they're going with that. Dallas versus Minnesota. We saw that Minnesota defense continue to hold things up. Tavares Jackson had one of his lesser games of the preseason. Still did okay, managed the game. I mean, he wasn't in long enough to really judge much of anything, but the Minnesota pass rush continues to come along. In the second half, you saw a bunch of kicking action, so I don't know how much you can take from that. Really boring game, New Orleans and Miami. There was 1 rushing touchdown in the first quarter by New Orleans, and no points the rest of the game, so just kind of a really slow back and forth thing. I still think Ronnie Brown's going to get the job in Miami. But we'll see. Rams and Chiefs, return of Larry Johnson to the field. I think he looked a lot faster than he has in a while, so that's a positive. Still no Torrey Holt or Steven Jackson for the Rams. So hopefully they can get back on the field by this time next week. And it's hard to judge much of anything from here. Luke McCown lights things up for the Buccaneers. Player of the week for the preseason. 203 yards, 3 touchdowns, just the 1 pick. Houston played quite well themselves. Jacoby Jones continues to dominate the preseason. No Matt Schaub in this game at all. So yeah, Jacoby Jones, one of the MVPs of the preseason, no matter how you slice it. Packers and Titans, lots of kicking action in this one. Vince Young played well. Best action of the preseason so far. Maybe Lindo White fights for that starting job. He might have won it with his game today. Big blocks, 15 runs, 58 yards. Looking real sharp out there. Brandon Jones looking good. I I think Vince Young might have secured that starting job.